This is a picture of my congressman, Sam Graves. He's ignorant and misinformed. He recently came to talk in our area when he was on the campaign trail for re-election. Someone from my group asked about climate change and its impact on farmers because I live in a rural area. He said there's no evidence for climate change and that it's nothing more than a theory based on computer modeling. I was pretty shocked that someone could have this opinion about climate change because it was predicted over 40 years ago, and there's now a mountain of science proving that it's happening. Like most climate change deniers, he had explained his opinion using prepared talking points that were basically invented data and opinions about the way the universe works. He was questioning the validity of thousands of peer-reviewed studies proving that climate change is real. And by denying the evidence, he was questioning the conclusions of NASA, the US Navy, and most of the world's governments. He also seemed to be questioning the technology of computer modeling, despite the fact that it's used in most sectors of our economy to predict everything from consumer habits to military maneuvers. At its core, it was a denial of all the science and the technology proving that climate change is happening. I noticed he was using a smartphone, and I wondered how somebody who so clearly benefits from the products of science could deny its validity. After all, the laws of physics are consistent throughout the known universe. Scientific formulas work the same whether you apply them to studying climate change, building the circuit board of a computer, or landing a spacecraft on a comet. There are thousands of peer-reviewed studies, all confirming that climate change is happening and is caused by human activity. There's a scientific consensus. To deny the scientific consensus on climate change is to deny all science. It's sort of like denying the existence of gravity or electricity. And for my misguided congressman, to deny all science was to deny the existence of the smartphone he was using. I think it's possible that climate change deniers like Sam Graves just don't understand the kind of science that goes into the products they use in their lives every day. But I think it's more likely they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to pick and choose the information science gives them and, embrace the things that they like and reject the things they don't like. Like, science is just a big fucking opinion grocery store. You just take what you want and leave what you don't want on the shelf. But science doesn't care about what we like and don't like. Science is just the facts about the way the universe works. Yeah, science is evolving, and it can adapt to new information and draw new conclusions, but there are very reliable scientific discoveries of the past. We've based our entire economy on them. Science is the magic behind the technology that fuels and carries out every action in our economy. We've successfully made all the complex technology, all the complex systems of our complex economy, using the scientific discoveries of the past. We know the science works and is reliable because we can see the direct evidence that is the complex technology we use in our lives every day. We see it in the electrical grid that we're plugged into all the time and that we miss on the rare occasions it goes down. We can see it in the super productive hybrid crops we grow and that the animals we eat. We see it in the medical system we have now that long ago did away with such ill-informed practices as draining blood from people to cure them. We see it in the pharmaceuticals most of us take daily for both real and imagined illnesses. We can see it in the European Space Agency that was able to land a spacecraft on a comet 317 million miles away and zooming through space at 84,000 miles per hour. And climate change deniers aren't some kind of Luddites. They use this kind of complex technology every day too. It's pretty much impossible to live in our world without using the products of science. This movement on the right to make opinion and religion trump science has been gaining ground over the last decade or so. Our current president is a master of making shit up that his followers want to believe is true, and they eat it up. Conservatives are now saying that scientific facts are nothing more than liberal opinions. Is this a liberal opinion? Or is it a functional result of employing the scientific method? Their interpretation is that if there's anything in the world that you want to believe is true about the way the universe works, you just speak it and it magically becomes true. Or you write an article about it on a website and then that's fact. When I was a kid, I fantasized about having special powers like a superhero. I imagined that I could control things and move them with my mind. I tried and it never worked, so I concluded that I didn't have special powers. Climate change deniers are kind of like I was when I was a kid, only they don't learn from the evidence. They just tell other people they can move objects with their mind, even though the facts don't support it, and they think that should be enough to convince people. And for some crazy reason, it does convince many other people to believe the same thing. And in their little bubble, they all believe they can move objects with their minds. If reality and science don't support you, just make up your own facts and live comfortably in your own little bubble of delusion. Making up facts may seem like a good way to win an argument, but it's a dangerous way to run an economy. You may not understand it, but you can be sure corporations know all about the science behind their products. They have to know, or they wouldn't make any money. Their products seem like magic. I mean, can any of you explain even the basics of the way this thing does what it does? I can't. Well, you can bet the designers, the engineers, and the programmers who work for Apple can explain it. And you can bet the explanation at its root has nothing to do with religious belief or their opinion. Unlike climate change deniers who think they can use their opinions to explain the universe, these corporations are using science's explanation of the universe to make their billions. This is Barry. Barry is a climate change denier. He thinks he knows better than those scientists because he can see things with his own eyes. He's certain the world is just too big for humans to have any impact on. I mean, after all, he can see how big the planet is compared to him and his own pathetic little life. This is what a smartphone would look like if it were built using the personal opinion of Barry. And these are the apps. This is all not to say there's anything wrong with having a belief or an opinion, but you have to be careful about what you apply them to. An opinion at least should be guided by scientific evidence. If you fell from an airplane and were plummeting towards the earth, would you pray to solve the problem or simply develop an opinion that you weren't really falling to your death? Or would you pull the cord on your parachute, a technology with a proven track record of saving people falling from the sky? When the US Navy was examining the problem of climate change and its potential impact on national security, they chose to take it seriously. Why did they take it seriously? Because they actually wanted to be successful in protecting national security from real problems. They rely on science to guide their policy because they know it will give them desirable results. They're not stupid. And corporations in our economy can't afford not to take science seriously, because if they don't, they'll make products that look like this and they will go out of business. Our economy is a high-stakes, competitive marketplace where the ability to use science better than your competitor is a key to success. Whether it's trying to figure out what potato chip seasoning people will like the most, what commercial will get them to buy more, or designing a smartphone, you won't get far if you don't employ science. But we know climate change deniers are hypocrites. They aren't really questioning all science and technology because they embrace them and have even gotten rich off of them. They all work jobs that wouldn't exist if not for someone somewhere in their field employing science. They're just questioning science on this issue, climate change, and on any other issue where they don't like what science tells them. Donald Trump is a climate change denier. Yet he's gotten rich building tall buildings using the technology science has made available to him. If he applied the same logic he uses to develop his opinion on climate change to building his buildings, Trump Tower would look like this. It's sad and pathetic that politicians like Donald Trump and my congressmen think that the US Navy and NASA are wrong to be concerned about climate change. So I'm calling on all of you out there to call out climate change deniers and science deniers in general. Question their use of technology that wouldn't exist if not for science. Tell them they shouldn't be allowed to use it if they question the science behind climate change. Because it's the same laws of physics, the same scientific formulas, the same science that gave them the luxury that they find so useful. I am by no means advocating the worship of science, though. The combination of science and an insufficiently regulated free market has been devastating the planet over the last 150 years. Though it's made our lives easier and given us luxuries and technologies unimaginable to humans that lived only 100 years ago, it's responsible in every way for the human population boom, the massive extraction of resources, the elimination of wildlife habitat, and the utterly unsustainable economy we have today. But science also gives us the knowledge and the tools to realize the damage we've done and how to turn things around. It's the best way to understand our universe and our impact on it, and it's the best way for us to determine how to live in harmony with it. I don't really expect climate change deniers to understand this video or this concept I'm talking about. They seem to lack the ability to understand complex concepts. There's like a screw or two loose in there that prevents them from understanding it, yet they immediately understand the benefits that new technology can bring them. Unfortunately, they now have a lot of control over our government and our policy, and they're leading us to the point of no return on climate change. They don't care about their future, your future, or your children's future. They only care about short-term economic gain. But it's up to us to remind them that it was engineers and designers, standing on the shoulders of all the inventors and researchers that came before, that built that complex combination of glass, metal, and plastic that they're so dependent on, our economy. And it's those same inventors and researchers whose legacy has helped us to understand we're warming the planet and we need to change the way we live.